Reports is trickling in quite slowly, although we do note that the death toll has increased to now 3. The key priorities for the affected communities are clean drinking water, fuel, and food. On Tonga Tapu, people are returning to their homes. And in terms of telecommunications and electricity, domestically they have been restored. However, international telecommunications is still limited. The Tongan government needs technical assistance to conduct initial damage assessments. So those are some of the informations that we have been receiving thus far that allows us to also have an informed planning in terms of our planned response that is to come.
So give us a sense of how you go about planning that response, given this limited information you're receiving, and what's really critical to get to those Tongans that need it most.
In terms of planning, we continue to monitor the situation. Majority of the coordination meetings with UN agencies are happening here in Fiji, supporting our neighbors in Tonga. It is through attending these coordination meetings, sharing of information, and really identifying what is best fit for purpose when providing a response in Tonga. And so for Plan International, we saw fit that it is imperative that there be a localized response rather than a surge response. This will also enable us to really strengthen our ties with our local in-country partners in Tonga, and more importantly, allow the local in-country partner to take the lead in identifying the needs that is required by the affected communities in Tonga, and then being able to provide an informed response to that regard.
Yeah. Where do you see support coming from countries like Australia and New Zealand?
Already we've seen the positive impacts of the support coming in from Australia and New Zealand. Initially through the aerial surveillance that the government of New Zealand and Australia provided, that really provided aerial pictures of the before and aftermath, and then more importantly, allowing these sorts of daily situational reports that's being provided by New Zealand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and then likewise Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. These situational reports are by far the most updated versions of the information that we're receiving, and it has, in more ways than one, allow us to really shape the plans for our response in Tonga.
So when you say it's going to be a very localised effort, do you feel that those local organisations have the resources they need to give support where it's needed?
With ongoing discussions with local in-country partners in Tonga, one of the key areas that we look at, of course, is their footprint in Tonga, whether they're able to respond throughout the whole Kingdom of Tonga, or localizing in a particular geographical area. Number two, we also look at the type of resources that they currently have. Information, again, coming in is a bit sketchy and limited. However, we're also identifying ways in which we can support them remotely and identify clearly the type of immediate need that is required, which is around clean drinking water, fuel, and food. And then also in some ways identify how best we can continue to communicate with them, noting that international telecommunications is still very much limited at this point in time.
Yes, and from what we know, it's going to be probably out of action for about a month, so that really does hamper efforts. And Josefa, do we know if there are any complications that might arise because of COVID?
Indeed, the importance of working with local partners rather than sending people in because of COVID risks is critical. And in more ways than one, we are also respecting the Tongan government's emphasis on this type of approach. Really, this is to mitigate the COVID infection in Tonga.
Good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.